and welcome to day 7 of the Build a Day Challenge. Yesterday we built this wizard tower here, and today the prompt is to build a circus tent. So I'm going to build one of the white and red circus tents that are sort of what you get in clip art, because I think it'll work quite well just for what I'm doing. But similar to the barn, that's a fairly simple structure to have to build. So I'm actually going to focus on fixing a mistake that happened in this build, which was that there just was not enough internal space to do what I wanted, so I had to use command blocks instead, which works fine, but it's not ideal. It doesn't really teach me how to build interiors in, a survival setting. So I'm actually going to start by designing a couple of interior elements and then use that as a sense of scale to compare against the rest. I'm going to start with setting up roughly what I think the seating should look like, and so I'll show you when that's done. Okay, so I've picked a sort of scale and design for the chairs such that I think I can get a fairly good shape out of it as a whole, and it won't take hours and hours and hours. It'll still take a while though. So these are fairly basic chairs. It's just polished andesite stairs with some dark oak signs on either side, and I'm actually using some red nether brick as the staircases that would be going up to the 3 different floors, and I used these copper just to line up everything such that I can now start creating a circle around the outside of this diameter just to know how big this will actually come out to. I'll probably have to do a bit of terraforming out on this edge because it's going to go out and around here, but that's not too big of a deal. So I will just start by putting in that outline of the circle around there. Okay, so here's the next update. I've put in the 2 circles. This will be the inner one. I'll dig down a bit through here, and this will be where the actual quote-unquote performance happens, and this is the actual outer edge of the building itself. I might push it out 1 block everywhere, just so I've got 1 block to play with along the outside here, but at the moment this will work fine. What I'm going to work on now is trying to move this chair design to work in the corner positions here. That's going to be a tough one, but I'll need to make it work sooner or later, so I'm going to just get it out of the way now. So I will work on that. Okay, so I've done my best to make these look like chairs over here. I tried using stairs and it wasn't going to work out. It would take up way too much space, and I've sort of limited myself already a bit with where I have this wall having to being a circle. But I think, given the constraints, I think this is not bad. I use slabs instead, and instead of trying to fit more chairs through here, I just decided let's just make this a straight path. I might make it such that instead of it going all the way up on this side as well, it sort of does something like this. Perhaps that one as well, just so it looks like it's going up at the diagonals, and then these chairs increase in size every layer by 1. I might do that, we'll see, but for now I'm going to copy this into these 4 corners, and then we can get started on probably the outside of the actual tent. Alright, so I've now moved and I suppose duplicated this section onto every corner, and I did what I said in the last clip and I expanded these out, and I think it looks much better, especially when looking from the center of the room. It just evens everything out a little bit more. Now I've left this space for, as I said, where the performance will probably come in, and perhaps also where the guests and audience will come in, but I haven't really thought about that. I'll just pretend I don't have to think about that. So next, I think I'm actually going to start working on the red and white exterior. Probably just going to use wool for that, and it'll either come to 1 point or perhaps 2 points. I've seen that on some tents before, especially, on the Google image search that I did earlier today. But I think it's much more likely it'll end up something similar to the roofs on my wizard tower from yesterday. So I will start working on that. Quick status report. Put in all the walls around here, and I think it's a good height. But the current thing that I'm dealing with is trying to get the roof in place. I've got a general shape, and I've put in some markers, but it's a bit tough to know how exactly all of these colors are going to meet up at the center, because it's going to end up being entirely red wall at the center because it's red on the centers of every side, but I'm not sure how these different colors are going to combine eventually into just a single stream, because I've got to fit a fair amount of these shades all the way up to the top here. So I guess the only option to that is just to keep giving it a go until eventually I can figure it out. So I'll do my best. Okay, so 40 minutes later, and I have a roof. I think it's turned out pretty good, this roof. Seems to follow the shape that I was hoping it would. It's a little bit sort of straighter here than I would have liked. I would have preferred some sort of curve in here, but I'll take it. So the next stage is figuring out the entrance, because currently it's fully dark, so I'm also going to have to figure out lighting. But yeah, so I will start work on the entrance here. It'll be some sort of archway, and I might also, on the outside section of it, include some way for visitors to actually enter and get to their seats. So I'll check back then. Okay, so I've finished off the interior. It's not very much. Ideally, I would have put a couple of things in the middle here to make it seem more alive, but I'm running out of time. I've been on this build for about 3 hours as it is, so I think I'm just going to call it here as an empty thing. I used a lot of lighting blocks around here, as you can see, just to make sure it wasn't all pitch black. And this I was thinking could look somewhat like a spotlight, and it kind of achieves that, but not too incredibly. But it's better than nothing. And I put a few lights in the stands as well, like actual lights. I put stream lights down there, and it just sort of adds a little bit of extra light around where the stands are. There is currently no way that any patrons could actually get into the place, and I haven't done a huge amount outside either to show how you would get into it, but I do think it is quite a nice build as far as what I've done in this world so far. But yeah, that's it for today's Build a Day challenge, and I hope you enjoyed, and thank you very much.